Welcome to Mobil 1 The Grid 2020. Coming up, we're behind the scenes at the Great American Race. We meet Formula 1 ace Alex Albon and talk tech with the Porsche Formula E team. We fire up the show and the series with a trip to Florida and NASCAR's season opener, the Daytona 500. The NASCAR Cup Series is the premier category in US motor racing, and their season begins with their marquee event in Daytona, Florida.
All right, Speed Week in Daytona, welcome!
Come on, Kevin, let's do it!
The 500 is the hottest ticket in town, and 2007 winner Kevin Harvick is one of the stars of the show. It's his 7th season with powerhouse team Stewart-Haas Racing.
When you look at the Daytona 500, it is our biggest race, and it's unique because it is our first race. Everybody's enthusiasm level is very high because we haven't run a race yet. Daytona has meant a lot to our sport, obviously, in building it into what it is today, and that's the reason that the Daytona 500 is what it is. So winning at Daytona is pretty special.
Since their last win in 2017, Stewart-Haas have 2 new drivers and have switched from Chevrolet to Ford. For team boss Tony Stewart, pre-race is a busy time.
It's very nerve-wracking from the owner's side too, to sit there and know that you got 4 cars in the race and that anything can happen at any time. I always like being in the car and being in control, but it's a little easier to be outside the car and be on the pit box instead and watching what's going on versus being in the car.
Daytona Speed Weeks includes 10 days of racing and qualifying. Among 6 first-timers, SHR new boy Cole Custer qualified 12th.
We've had an awesome car all weekend. All the guys on the team have given me a great car to work with, so I'm looking forward to it. Take it one step at a time, and hopefully we can make it to the end of the thing.
The 14-car crew were looking to deliver Clint Bowyer his first victory in his 15th 500 attempt.
Man, all the stars are lining up. All 4 Stewart-Haas cars are fast. Looking forward to the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. We're ready.
It's probably the hardest automotive race that we face all year in NASCAR to win. And you know, you spend the most time preparing for it. It has one of the biggest paydays, and it's the most prestigious race. We just can't wait to get down here and try to win the Daytona 500.
While the crews prep the cars, the drivers have media engagements to attend. But on the eve of the 500, thoughts always turn to the big race.
I've come so close to winning this race before, literally a half a lap away from winning. So 2020, it's the year we're gonna get it done.
Race day and the arrival of President Trump as Grand Marshal signified the size of the occasion, and there were plenty of stars on hand.
Everybody's super psyched for this. I know the drivers are on edge because this is the WrestleMania of NASCAR for them. It is packed to the rafters, but these are hardcore racing fans right here.
500 miles lay ahead as the Great American Race got underway, but after only 20 laps, the heavens opened.
We've been waiting for a week and a half to run this race and all off season, and then to get all pumped up and make a few laps and then have the rain come.
It's just long enough to stop us for a couple hours. We're getting to that point where it looks like there's some more rain building, so we need to get this thing to the end and see if we got a shot at it.
2 hours was quite an underestimate. For just the second time in Cup history, the race would be completed on a Monday.
The 62nd Daytona 500 is underway.
The early stages were dominated by Hendrick's Chase Elliott, but while the other SHR Mustangs ran lower in the order, Alex Albon took 3rd at the Stage 1 flag. Lap 85 saw Kevin Harvick sustain damage in an incident involving BJ McLeod and Quinn Hoof, but the Stewart-Haas pit crew kept all 4 cars in with a chance until late in the race. The big one struck with less than 20 laps to go.
Here's the big one. Man.
Well, there goes half the field.
Jimmy Johnson hopes in his final Daytona 500.
And here's Eric Almirola, one of the fastest Fords in this entire field, all torn up.
The pileup sent the race into overtime and an extra 2-lap shootout to decide a winner. But it was halted when Clint Bowyer span out. Teammates HARVICK and BOWYER would eventually finish in the top 10 when the second 2 laps of overtime got underway. But the race was overshadowed by Ryan Newman's horrific crash within sight of the finish line. Denny Hamlin became only the 4th driver in NASCAR history to win back-to-back Daytona 500s, but everyone's thoughts were with Newman, taken to hospital with thankfully non-life-threatening injuries. Technology now as we hop on board with Porsche's electric motorsport journey.
Second place for Works driver Andre Lotterer at the opening round of this season's Formula E Championship in Diriyah signalled a successful start to a new chapter of racing for Porsche Motorsport.
The automobile industry is changed or has changed, and electromobility is the future. It used to be hybrid technology at Le Mans, testing very fun new technologies, and it's awesome for a racing driver to be developing the future, racing for the future. It's definitely something super challenging to work with engineers, and yeah, it goes really in line with the product Porsche is releasing right now.
This journey actually started already end of 2017 when we went out of WEC with the LMP1 program. We focused on developing the powertrain, bringing it on the test bench and do mileage to make sure we are reliable. Of course, we didn't have a test car in 2018. That came beginning of 2019 together with a battery, so we could build up the first test car and hit the track in March in Weissach, and then we went through our extensive test program to finally be ready for the first race.
Contrary to popular belief, Formula E is not a one-spec series. Although every team has to use the Spark-manufactured Generation 2 chassis, Porsche spent the summer of 2019 testing and refining the parts of the car they could develop themselves.
What we are focusing on is to develop as much technology as possible in-house. On the hardware side, efficiency development, also weight is an important part, and then software development is very, very important. The goals of our test season were first and foremost to get the car rolling, to check all the functionality. Durability was high up on the list, of course. We have only 2 powertrains per car per season. We need to learn about the tires, we need to get the software ready, and of course get the drivers ready on our car.
Neil as well as Andre have both got fantastic knowledge technically from the LMP1 program, so they have a good understanding of software, control systems generally. And with this championship we don't run data or telemetry live, so we really rely on their feedback whilst the car's on track so we can prepare changes when they come in.
With 8 other manufacturers, Porsche's 99X Electric is up against some tough competition. But the German Mark believe they can transfer their enviable racing record to make a success of this new venture.
One of the highlights in my career clearly was racing the 919 hybrid at Le Mans in the World Endurance Championship. An amazing car from a technological point of view, and also just driving it was amazing. But we changed category, we changed fields, and hopefully we're having the same success in Formula E.
Mixed results since the opening E-Prix have left Porsche in the bottom half of the championship table. But the long-term goal is to apply what they learn on the track to their new generation of road cars.
Porsche has focused its effort on the powertrain side towards electrification with plug-in hybrid vehicles, and the Formula E program fits very well into this strategy and makes a lot of sense to also go racing with electric cars, and we can demonstrate that electric cars are exciting and that we can have a very, very high level competition and good racing.
We'll have the latest Formula E action later in the show, but now we turn our attention to World Rally as we catch up with Toyota Gazoo Racing.
After 2 World Rally titles in the last 2 years, it was a case of all change at Toyota over the winter, as team principal Tommy Mäkinen completely changed the team's driver lineup following the departure of 2019 world champion Ott Tänak.
I think it's an interesting lineup. Obviously, I know very well ELFYN. I've been working with him back at M Sport, and I think it's a nice teammate to have on my side. And KALLE have proved a lot of things already in WRC2 categories.
The goal is for everybody to be a WC car racer, and now it's coming for me, and I'm really excited to be in the Gazoo Racing. It's going to be a big challenge for me, but I'm really excited.
I'm really excited to join the Toyota Gazoo Racing family. Fantastic opportunity for me. I think initially at the start of the season there will be a period of adapting to the car, but we've seen in the past the car's been really competitive, so I'm looking forward to getting behind the wheel and finding out what it's like to drive.
Of the 3 new drivers, 6-time world champion Sebastien Ogier was Toyota's marquee signing, so expectations were running high as he began his quest for another title under the cover of darkness at the season opener in Monte Carlo.
Starting the season Thursday night is always a tricky moment, and I'm sure if you would record the heartbeat of every driver, it's definitely higher than any other moment of the season.
While Toyota's new driver lineup had attracted plenty of attention pre-season, it was team old boy Oitanek making the headlines in the Principality. Incredibly, Tanak and co-driver Martin Yavioya emerged from the crash unscathed. Back on the road, Toyota's 19-year-old KALLE ROVANPERA was claiming an impressive 5th place overall on his WRC debut. Elfyn Evans also looked at home in his first competitive outing behind the wheel of the Yaris, and in an inspired debut led the rally before finally settling for 3rd place finish.
Feeling's generally been pretty good in the car. I think the right tyre calls made as well, so you know, thanks to the team for their input on that. It's been good so far.
The mercurial Ogier had been brought in for one reason only. He called on the experience of 6 successive Monte wins to stay in contention for victory. Those hopes were finally ended by 2019 title runner-up Thierry Neuville, but a 2nd place finish for Toyota's new superstar suggests the Frenchman will definitely be in the hunt for a 7th world title this season.
I think we can be happy with the start of the season. Starting with the podium is always a good result. For sure, still some way to go to feel and to extract all the potential from this car, but I already enjoy it, and good weekend.
Now Formula One as we enjoy a pre-season chat with Aston Martin Red Bull Racing's Alex Albon. The 23-year-old star has taken to his new life of media commitments and glamour like a pro, but it's a world the London-born racer could hardly envisage as a young Formula One fan watching at home.
The first memory I have is watching, I think I was at my first house that I lived in, and my mum was sitting in front of the TV. It was Schumacher. I can remember that he was in the lead. I think it was Malaysia, and he spun. I think it was when there was a monsoon. That was my first memory of Formula One, and I cried. I must have been that traumatic, but that's how I remember the first race in Formula One.
With his father a racer, it was no surprise that young Alex had an interest in all things 4 wheels, and he got his first kart when he was just 7 years old.
When I first started, the natural side was kind of there. I wouldn't lie, I think to begin with I was pretty quick, but that first year in go-karting is actually quite daunting, and the pace or the results weren't as good as I wanted them to be. And it was, yeah, quite an average season, but that was when my dad was mechanicking me, and it was very much a father and son team. After that year, we kind of stepped into a proper team, and suddenly, I'm not saying my dad's a bad mechanic, but a bit of just team knowledge, and then me getting better.
Being signed as a Red Bull Junior in 2012 was Albon's big break, but after success in Formula Renault, GP3 and F2, Formula E looked to be his only option heading into 2019.
There was definitely a side of me that thought Formula E was what I was going to end up doing. It's very hard to go from Formula E back into Formula One. It's such a big step, and it's not a step backwards, but it's just a different style of driving, and of course the cars are nowhere near as quick as Formula One. So once I made that commitment to do Formula E, it was kind of letting go of that dream, and it was a bit like a tough way to do it, but I thought at the time, that's the next best thing. But of course, yeah, I still wanted that Formula One.
Albon finally got what he wanted when Italian team Toro Rosso called him up for the 2019 Australian Grand Prix.
It was daunting. I remember the first FP1 I had a little spin, and that took the confidence out for most of the weekend, and in qualifying I just kind of found the lap just at the end. And then the race went really well. I was very nervous, of course. I remember having terrible sleep every night being in Formula One. I mean, you're racing against half the grid who you've raced against, and George and Lando coming through, it took the sting out of it. You look around your shoulder and you've got your mates with you, so yeah, it was pretty fun.
Having impressed with Toro Rosso in the first half of the season, Albon was promoted to Aston Martin Red Bull Racing alongside Max Verstappen.
It was very special. It felt like when I got told it was a shock. I didn't expect it. I was just getting used to Toro Rosso, and as soon as I started to feel comfortable and the results were coming, I got the call up to be in Red Bull. So it was almost, not a reset, but it did feel like, okay, I've got a new car to learn, a new team to learn, and we've got to go from there. Straight away I felt at home with the team. They've made me feel very comfortable. They understood my position, which was really important.
Alex is a very nice guy. He's very relaxed as well. We know each other already for a longer time. We raced against each other in go-karting as well. He fits in well with the team. I think both of us, we are very easygoing. Yeah, we help each other, we help the team. At the end of the day, that's the most important, to find more performance in the car.
Red Bull is a very cool brand. I think we get to do stuff that no other teams get to do. We do some crazy things. We were doing dream buggies, and we've done camel riding in Abu Dhabi. So we do things marginally risky, where I'm always like, wow, are we allowed to do this? Because I think most teams are very strict on the racing is the racing, and that's what you're allowed to do. But we do get to meet loads of cool people as well. And yeah, I'm very happy to be associated with them.
To end today, we head on to the grid for the latest race action.
And we begin in Mexico with round 4 of the FIA Formula E Championship. Andre Lotterer began on pole for Porsche, their first of the series, but was forced onto the grass at turn 1 when Jaguar's Mitch Evans locked up under braking. Behind them, Nico Muller went too fast into the corner and crashed, bringing out the safety car. After the restart, New Zealander Evans got away from the rest of the field, while Lotterer's race ended with loose bodywork catching his right front tyre after contact with Nick de Vries. Sam Bird was lying second when he came under huge pressure from Antonio Felix da Costa and hit the turn 3 wall. Championship leader Stoffel van Dorn was another victim of the same corner, and this left Mitch Evans not only winning the race, but also taking the championship lead. Next, the teams head to Marrakesh. We head to Sweden now for round 2 of the World Rally Championship. Billed as the only all-snow event on the calendar, Sweden was unseasonably warm, and the lack of snow and ice meant the rally was shortened. As in the Formula E, it was an Evans who dominated. This time Toyota's ELFYN Evans, and the Welshman did so right from the off. He would win 5 of the 9 stages in Sweden. After crashing out spectacularly in Monte Carlo, reigning world champion Oyt Tanak was on better form here in his new Hyundai i20, but he wasn't able to catch Evans and would have to settle for second. Toyota's teenager Kalle ROVANPERA had an impressive weekend, and his win on the final power stage meant that he beat teammate and 6 times world champion Sebastien Ogier to the final podium spot. But the weekend belonged to Evans, whose victory was his first for Toyota and only his second ever in the WRC.
I have to say a big thank you to everyone. Obviously, it's been a big effort trying to settle into a new team, and yeah, thank you to everyone who's made it happen.
Evans moves into the championship lead as the teams get set for a trip to Mexico.
That's it for now, but join us on Instagram, Twitter and YouTube for more exclusive NASCAR and Formula One content. We're your home of motorsport online. Next time, we go testing with the new Corvette C8R. Sit down in the race shop with SHR. And talk F1 2020 with Max Verstappen. See you next time.